Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something that has been on my mind for a very long time. And honestly, it's been all over social media. And there's this growing trend of people moving back to where they come from, whether it's to Nigeria or to Ghana, Gambia, Kenya, Uganda, even the Caribbean islands. There's a growing trend of people planning on moving or already moved. And one of the main reasons that they cite is that they want peace of mind. They want their children to learn their culture. They don't want to have to explain themselves, as sometimes when you're living in diaspora, you will need to do that sometimes, and I really understand that. I really do. There's something magical, there's something spiritual about being home, being surrounded by your own people, your food, even the sounds around you, the language, just the rhythm of life when you go home. It's totally different from the feel that you get when you're living in the diaspora. There's comfort that comes from living in a familiar environment that you don't feel when you're living away from home. And some people are doing this because they say that it's good for the mental health, that emotional well-being, and I really believe them. And again, that's the reason why I'm doing this, because it's all about being healthy, it's all about being mindful and really feeling good about yourself, because that's what life is all about. But here is where I want us to think. I'm sorry, I'm working and I'm trying to respond to my daughter on WhatsApp because she's away while I'm doing this. So please excuse me that my eyes are darting all over the place. But this is what I want us to think about. And that is that home, or where you feel comfortable, they say home is where the heart is, right? Home is not just an emotional issue, it's also a question of where your basic needs are met. The basic necessities of life. We're talking about water, food, electricity, security, access to healthcare, whether you're going to have a means of living, a job, or maybe a business that will sustain you while you're there. Access to education if your children are still young, because no matter how much you love a place, if you're not going to be able to meet those basic necessities of life, that love can turn into something different. I'm not going to say hate, but I will say life can become more challenging than you originally anticipated, and it can begin to feel very unpleasant. That's the reason why I want us to think about this. So before you make any decisions, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking. Because when you go to these videos or to these channels where people are sharing their lives and their plans to go home, you see so many comments. Some of them are very personal, some of them are very, people are upset, or they think that there's some untruth in what these people are sharing. And I just want people to realize that many of the ones that I've seen have expressed that that's their own private opinion, that's their own reason, that's their own why. And we do have to respect the why they're wanting to do this. But what you have to ask yourself is, this person that I'm watching, this person that has made this move, or this person that is planning on leaving, and they have all these things in place, well, how much do I identify with those people? How old are they, for instance? If they're retired, or maybe they're 60, like I'm going to be almost 60 very soon, and people are retired, and so they really are not working anymore. So if you're 40 or you're 35, you still have children at college, it just doesn't make any sense for you to try to align yourself with people who are making moves because of their age. And the other thing, the other questions you have to ask yourself is, for instance, are they single? Are they married? Do they have children? How old are the children? What kind of support system are they telling you that they have? Um, do they have things set up already? Do they already have businesses set up at home? Do they have properties? Will they have to rent? Will you have to rent? So these are the comparisons that you have to make. And also, many people sometimes, the whole truth is not available on the internet. People leave for so many reasons. I know someone who left, and I thought everything was hunky dory until I realized that the reason why they left were other things that would not have allowed them to function in this kind of environment. Truth is that what looks like peace and freedom, peace of mind, better mental health state or better mental state for one person might look like pressure and chaos for another. Don't judge people, or don't think that they're being kind of unrealistic, or that don't feel attacked, is what I'm saying, just because of the fact that maybe their experiences are different from your experiences. I myself, let me do a quick disclaimer. I may not be the best person necessarily to talk about this, but let me tell you, I was born in Nigeria, but I left when I was 14 and a half. I went to England, went to school and did all that before we moved to the United States. So I haven't really lived in Nigeria for any length of time, and that is the truth. The longest period of time that I have spent in Nigeria at one go was 6 weeks. I don't even think it was 6 weeks. I think, let's say, 5.5 weeks. And let me explain to you that I am one of those people who I have actually taken steps to think that this is something that is doable. I spent 5.5 weeks I did a conversion to, as you know, I'm a pharmacist, so I did a conversion. I went to Jos, beautiful city. This was probably about 8 years ago. And it was a very different experience for me, and I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a beautiful place, beautiful people. And, I went with a mindset that, okay, it's not going to be perfect. I'm not going to be picky. I'm not going to complain about every single hole that I see in the bathroom. I went there kind of open minded. And, there were other people who were there who were actually actively doing the move. And so it was a very good time for me to talk to other people and see what they were doing, how they were planning towards this change. And so it's not like I haven't tried. And so everything was fine until I was about to leave and I got scammed. And it just got me thinking that, oh my goodness, this is something that I would have to deal with. The fact that sometimes you will be scammed, and that you need to have the presence of mind all the time so that you don't get scammed. And for me, someone who never really lived in Nigeria as an adult, the thinking process that people have to adopt when they're in Nigeria is completely different. I have very close friends and relatives, obviously, who live in Nigeria. My husband was born and bred. And sometimes, I think I cracked it. And then he says something to me and I realize that I haven't. They tell me things, and I have to apply myself as an individual to what they're saying. I like to deal with people who are straightforward, who I can trust. And I realize that in Nigeria, that's just not going to be something that was going to happen. I mean, I have some limitations. I have always said I can't speak broken English. I love listening to broken English, and of course, I understand it. But I grew up in the era, well, when I was in Nigeria, if you spoke broken English, you got into trouble, and that was in those days. So I never really learned how to speak it. And this is the way you communicate. So for me, if I wanted to converse or talk to someone about anything, it never took long for them to realize that I was not living in Nigeria, and I didn't like that. And that's the easiest way to identify people who could be prey. It's a beautiful thing to want to go home. I have thought about it myself. I also know that you need to plan. There's a lot of planning that you need to go into it. Even there's some places in Nigeria that are safer to live, for instance, than other places. And so when people tell you or come and do a video about moving back, a lot of them are moving to places where they will be safe. If you don't have places like that to move to, the only places you have are places that may not be as safe. You have to think about those things. What I want you to think about is, or what I want to leave you with is, what is home to you? What is home to you? Is home where your heart is emotionally, or is home where all the basic necessities of life will be met? For me personally, home is where my basic needs will be met, right? A home is where I can sleep at night and not be concerned about my security, where I can buy food and know that what I'm buying is the real thing, where I can trust people. I remember there was a time that I had someone come to clean my house and I wasn't concerned that they would steal things, and where my children will have access to education without me having to do more than what I needed to do. And so I'm asking you today, what does home really mean to you? Is this where you feel seen, where you feel at home, where you feel understood? Or is this where your children are safe and fed? Is it where you can rest? Is it where you can rise? What does home mean to you? Share with me in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And until the next video, I'll see you again. Goodbye.